Welcome to Coffee and Tea and Cheesecake, where we spill the tea and drink the coffee. It is I, the one and only Camellia LaRue, with my special guest, Amarcius. And today's topic, we are going to discuss the economy, dun, 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 and inflation. So, in my opinion, the economy right now has been the economy since I've been born for 44 years. Basically, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, and some people, by miracles and blessings, just make it. But in regards to the economy, good sir, how do you feel about it?
I mean, it's like you said, it's been the same since I can remember. For these last 40 years, it's just been, the rich standing on the shoulders of the poor and, taking away the little bit that they do make and then taxing the rest of it. So, yeah, the economy, to me, never has really been stable.
Now, is the economy also, like, as the way the news media will have it, like it's just, money is just gone, like it's not here? Is it what we as consumers do with the money, or is it more so like a puppet master thing where the powers that be behind closed doors that we don't know anything about make simple rules or put things in certain demographics or put things in certain communities to control the money flow?
I believe so. Certain things are, presented to a population that, that is of interest or that can pique interest. And then, it's like, for example, with lottery. Lottery kind of was pushed more to the minority community, even though, all people do play lottery. It's more centered in the minority community as more, to me, as a holdback, because the money that you could be placing in other places, you're putting into something that you only have a chance to win, nothing that's a guarantee.
What about, I'm going to go there, gentrification. Growing up in a urban, quote-unquote, community, I could see at corner stores or corner markets nothing but juice, and it was low-brand juices, sodas of any variety, and then the wide array of beer and malt liquors, and as they say in the biblical sense, old cheap wine. But if I venture out to where some of my associates and friends were in more upscale, we'll say, neighborhoods, you didn't see any of that. You saw your higher brands of beverages all around. You didn't see, slim to none, any like malt liquor beverages. I didn't want to name call, but I'm going to. You would see anything, the lowest they would have would maybe be a Mike's Hard lemonade or Ice House or Heineken, something like that. But in the urban areas, you got Coke 45, you got your Schlitz malt liquor, you got all of the bottom feeder type of things. Does that affect the economy or no?
I think so with big business. It does. Like, big business does sometimes send their products to, like, what they would call a cash cow market. Like you were saying, for example, the whole going from the urban setting where there's a lot more alcohol influence to going to the suburban setting where you may see, like, again, a Mike's Hard Lemonade. I came from the more suburban setting where you saw beer, but it was in a case. It wasn't sitting on the floor. Like, when I go to my current neighborhood, I see where you walk into Food Line and you see the beer sitting on the floor. But then I go across town to Publix, it's in the case. It's just because they're in two different demographics. It's two different set of people. So it's just like you have to know what sells. That's what pushes the economy is growth. So you have to know what sells to help your company to grow.
In regards to, like, race relations, how does that affect the economy? When we were more segregated, was there a bigger difference than it is now?
Of course, like, not to go back in time, but segregation was better in certain fields, education-wise, when you were being taught by someone that looked like you. You felt more, in tune with what they're saying. You feel more, empowered by their words. But then on the other side of that, you still do have where it shouldn't be a colored education. There shouldn't be a color line with any subject.
Right.
But it's there. The economy, you see the poor, the minority, most of the minority is of color. The top 10, most of them are of the Caucasian descent. So it's like, I look at it as the political side, where I would be a Republican if they knew how to share. Where a Democrat wants everyone to have what's afforded for life. And Republicans say that I did my part, I shouldn't have to give up mine because you decided not to. We were all afforded the same privileges. I took mine and you didn't. So I shouldn't have to pay for what you're asking me to do. Or I shouldn't have to give you something for free, which in a way it makes sense. But then you have what I say the extreme right wing, where I just don't want to help at all. I want to be selfish, and I'm gonna be up in my tower, looking down on you, watching you suffer. So to
what
me,
about,
it's like,
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What about, how does the class system play a part as far as the economy or economic structure of America?
Technically, it's not supposed to be a class system. It's more of a, unspoken thing.
Right. Oh, we got another guest in the coffee, tea, and cheesecake room. Indecisive Incarnate, thank you for joining us. On the line with me, I do have Marcius Chameleon LaRue. I am your wonderful host, Chameleon LaRue myself, a.k.a. Merlin the Magician, a.k.a. I got a whole lot of other names. And, again, we are discussing the economy and inflation. Right now we're focused on the economy. And Indecisive, you are coming from New York. Marcius is in North Carolina, and, of course, I am in Virginia. So from a New York perspective, what does the economy look like to you?
Man, listen, the way these prices are out here, and it seems like the harder time the economy has, the worse it get. Like, prices are ridiculous. The prices of food in the supermarket does not make sense. Like, I feel like everybody's struggling right now, whether you're lower class, middle class. Like, it's just hard out here. The economy is just, it sucks. It sucks pretty much, summing it up.
So from your perspective of what you see in your area, from the time that you were a child up until now, has it really changed?
It has. I think it's gotten harder to survive out here. It's gotten real hard, especially you would think if you own a business to get a little bit easier. It's very hard for business owners out here because when you think about it, it's like we have to make our prices go up because the prices of our ingredients and everything like that we need for the store goes up. So when our prices go up, people are like, oh, wait, it costs that much. So it makes it harder to try to sell your product, but you ain't got no choice but to raise your prices because everything is up right now. It's so hard to survive. It's so hard for a business to survive. So, yeah, it's definitely harder now in 2024.
All right. Marcius, from your perspective, coming from Durham, North Carolina, and you are also a business owner, how has the economy worked for you or against you?
I would say being in the South is different because, we have access to, Costco, Sam's, the different warehouses where, food costs are kind of compensated to where I know a pack of chicken in the regular grocery store is anywhere from $17 to $20, and you may get 12 pieces. But I know if I go to one of the warehouses, Sam's, Costco, BJ's, I can get that for that same price, almost twice that amount. So, as a business owner, I can say food costs have increased. Like the difference, just for like meat, poultry, just the whole ballpark, it has increased. That's more because I look at, the cost of gas has gone up a lot as well, since from when I was a kid at 99 cents a gallon to now almost $4 just for, regular unleaded. So I see why the inflation has come, but again, people out here, like they say, they can't make it because everything is going up except for the wages. So it's like, how are you supposed to make the same amount that didn't work before work to actually, get even less?
Okay, and welcome Soulful Force to Coffee, Tea, and Cheesecake. Soulful Force, you are also from New York. Well, you're in New York. The subject for today is the economy and inflation. Right now, we're still focused on the economy at this point. So give me a little bird's eye view into what you see as you experience things as a consumer and as a business owner from your perspective.
Well, good morning, everyone. From my perspective, it's just everything is getting a little bit way too expensive, and then with the cost of living in some places and then what you're making at your job, it doesn't always add up.
So the ends don't always justify the means.
Yeah.
So question for everybody. Question number one, I know each of you guys are business owners. What industries are you in?
Food. I'm in a restaurant industry.
Okay.
I'm trying to get into the makeup industry.
Okay, cool.
And I do private and mobile catering.
Okay.
So food service.
Now, how do you guys stay competitive? Because the market is saturated. Because if it's fair for me to make this statement, please tell me. If it's not, also tell me. Everybody now living in America has to have a job, a side hustle, or some type of scheme to make ends meet. Is that fair to say?
I agree.
True.
Yes.
All right. But if you look at the media or in the news, they'll say, oh, the market is doing so well and the economy is flourishing. And that'll be today, Tuesday, March 26th. And then by Friday, oh, my God, the economy has plummeted. Oh, everybody's broke. Oh, this, that, and the third. Why does it fluctuate so easily, in you guys' opinion? Or is it just a fairy tale?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
If the economy, according to the media, on Tuesday, today, March 26th, will say the economy is doing well, business is flourishing, and then by Friday, it's, oh, the economy has plummeted, everybody's broke, homelessness and poverty in America is at an all-time high. Is the first one an illusion, a fairy tale, a fable, or what? What do you guys think?
I don't think we really ever know what's going on. Honestly, I think we just look to see what the government is saying and what, we can see with our own eyes, but we don't never really know what's going on.
I look
Anybody
at it
else
as
want to
like,
comment? Go ahead.
it's more levels to things, like at us at the local level, to where we don't really know what's going on with the federal government, like you said, unless it's what we're told. So in a way, we have a sheep mentality to what we can't change. So as long, like that's why they say voting is so important, because voting is just not every 4 years. Like you affect change by, changing your mayors, your councilmen, your state senate and stuff like that quicker than you do, voting for president, because what they do has to trickle down to what you can start in your own area. So, excuse me, I think, I don't know, in terms of the economy with that, you could just look at how on January the 5th, when they were sealing the votes for the president, and on the 6th, how the world changed. Just in minutes of time on the television, if you were watching that, you saw how it was like people just marching to the Capitol. And then in the blink of an eye, it turned into this mob that was bloodthirsty to get in and alter something that had already been decided.
Right. Right.
And I mean, that to me showed everyone what the state of America was. And how, no matter how many lilies and flowers you try to push to everyone, there's a division that no one can deny. As a child, I remember when, people were scared to, be out and about with, how they felt about racism. But now it's like we went back to the 50s. Since Donald Trump can do it, anybody can do it. He brought out a lot of bigots when he became president, because now somebody that acts like me is in office. They don't have to just look like me; they act like me too.
Anybody else want to touch on that?
I agree. That part.
Yeah. It's sad to say that became the face of power or supremacy. Even though we all know that it is a thing that has existed, it still exists. I don't care how it's sugarcoated. The fact that it's openly displayed and it takes years upon years for it to actually come out, and those that agree or align with people who think like the former president, I hate to put that into a statement, but yeah, get away with it and they actually love it. That too, in turn, does affect the economy, in my opinion, because people pay for things that are dark, quote unquote, and under the table, which means on the surface level, certain businesses or certain industries capitalize off of that type of behavior. Yet it's still mentioned as being taboo, but it's a very much so lucrative and thriving form of entertainment. I'm going to switch it over to the inflation side, and I'm going to ask this question, and anybody that wants to answer first, please go right on ahead. Inflation, that wonderful, wonderful balloon inflation. Is it a myth? Is it a fact? Do we sugarcoat it? How does the word inflation resonate with you guys?
It's definitely real. Definitely real. You could tell when you go to the store by the changes in the prices, like just looking at milk, eggs alone, you can see. Definitely see gas prices, everything.
I can talk on that part because, like doing catering and having to do big events, it is just being in North Carolina at times when I have to go to different cities to get different items that I know would be cheaper. Like, for example, eggs. I know I can go to Wake Forest and go to Lidl where eggs are cheaper rather than paying $3 per egg at Walmart here or at Food Line. So, I mean, I'm still kind of spending money with gas and time, but it's easier because then I can get there and find even more items that I may need to, complete my event or whatever, but I'm still, that gas calculation is kind of taking up for what the cost of that I'm kind of saving, but it balances itself at the same time when it comes to that's kind of like to me how we offset inflation is finding other avenues, like where, okay, I can get this from the Spanish food store where we have here Compare is a lot cheaper when it comes to like meat and things of that nature, where I can go buy a whole oxtail, buy the whole cow tail and get it cut rather than having to buy it in the package. It's so much cheaper having it bought whole and then them cutting it up once it's already weighed, or once I get them to clean the fat off or something like that, rather than, having to do what the mainstream would do as of getting it by package at like a Kroger or a Food Line.
So where did or how did, if anybody can tell me, how did inflation even come about? Like, is it just something in the market that was just created out of the blue, or what? Like, is it decided every beginning of the year we're going to spike prices a certain dollar amount or a certain percent just because it's a new year? Like, what's the math behind
some
inflation?
Businesses do that. Like, most inflation comes from the cost of having to produce an item. And to me, inflation is more the greed of big business. It's something that was born by big business to kind of as like a Band-Aid for them raising prices. Oh, we're just going to blame it on inflation. Inflation just doesn't happen because numbers just don't create themselves. People have to do something to say, okay, I'm going to give you this same amount that I was giving you before, but I'm going to charge you 10 cents more on every dollar. So now I've made millions of extra dollars while cutting into someone else's profit. So what does it do? It trickles down to the consumer. And then the consumer pays the price of higher prices, less quantity.
Anybody else care to add to that? Well, I'm going to sip my coffee and bite this lovely strawberry swirl cheesecake and marinate on that. I do want to thank each one of you guys for coming on the line with me this morning. This is the first of many panels we will have as we grow. Before we close out, I would like for each of you guys to just give a little shout out about yourself and your business and see what happens. So I'll start with Mr. Omarcius Chameleon. Go ahead and give us your business name and where are you located?
All right, so I'm the co-owner of Favorite Flavors in Durham, North Carolina. We specialize in all types of parties, specializing in micro parties, so where, from the most intimate to anywhere from 10 to 12 people, all the way up to weddings, any type of events of that nature. Just as a reference, we did the event for Red Hill, which is an old slave plantation that was owned by Patrick Henry back in the 1700s. They do a tribute to their quarter place, which is where the slaves were, basically where the slaves were kept and where their homes and stuff were. And we actually did the food for them for this year, and we've already been secured for this current year in October. So if you don't have anything to do in October, always come out to Brookneal, Virginia, to the Red Hill site. Favorite Flavors will be featured, and you'll learn a lot about the history of the slavery in Virginia.
Awesome. Indecisive Incarnate, give a shout out to your business.
Yes, it's Indy. My business is The Cheesecake Spot, 201 Broadway in Amityville. You tried the rest, now come and try the best. Shout out to Nicki Minaj for putting us up on Instagram. Our sweet potato, definitely one of our favorites and best sellers. So come on by and see us. We'll be waiting.
All right, and lastly, Ms. Soulful Force, give us a shout out to your business. Soulful Line 1. Did I lose you? I think I lost her. But shout out to her. I believe it's Coco the Stallion Beauty Bar. She does facial makeup. She gives tutorials. She does weddings, any type of gathering for all of us girls that like to go out there and be pretty. So, yeah, I want to thank each of you guys for your time this morning. This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And until next time, sip the tea before you spill it and get that coffee in you to get you going, but always end it up with some cheesecake. So thank you guys for coming. God bless you, and you have a great day.
You as well.
I don't know where.